So I went and saw the Joker. Nobody killed anybody. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. CBB here, and I just got done watching the Joker, and good movie. I was very. I shouldn't say I was pleasantly surprised. I kind of figured it was gonna. I knew it was gonna be a good movie. I just had concerns as far as being a comic book fan, whether or not it was going to be a good comic book movie. And the answer is no, it's not. It's not a comic book. It's not really a comic book movie at all. Just like the director himself said, it's not really a comic movie. It's not really a Joker movie. Which is why if you go back and look at some of my the episodes of Nerd Culture class that I did with Tom, I said if it's not a Joker movie, if uh, it's not really a comic book movie. If it's not really a Joker movie, why are you calling it the Joker? Um, so other than a few themes that are taken from the character in the comics, the location, the fact that it's set in Gotham City, and a few names that they throw around, uh, not a lot to do with the actual comic book version of the Joker, other than by the time you get to the end of the story, they're pretty much in the same place where they're both agents of chaos. But that being said, it's a pretty good it's a good movie. It's not a I see a lot of people gushing about it like it's the best movie of the year. I don't personally feel that it's the best movie I've seen all the year. It is a good movie. And I will say this, Joaquin Phoenix's performance might be the best performance I've seen all year. He really is one of the best actors of his generation. And yeah, it's definitely worth going to see. I really liked it. And and just real quick to touch on it, all of the stuff that's going around about like all the political crap and like it's too violent and blah 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 blah. That's absolute bullshit. Um, it's stupid. It really is stupid. This movie is not. I mean, when there is violence, it's pretty intense. I mean, there's a couple of scenes of violence in this movie. I've seen way more violent movies than this, like way more. The two movies that this movie is very heavily uh that this movie very heavily apes, which when more on that later. Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. Uh, Taxi Driver is way more violent than this movie is. Oh my God! And and this whole controversy about violence and whatnot. This is nothing new, man. Like other movies have had people get their hackles up over, and it's the same crap here. But yeah. So enough of that. But so the things about the movie that I thought were really good, like I said, Joaquin Phoenix's performance was fantastic. He's probably going to get an Oscar nod for this at the very least. The story is not bad. The story is actually pretty good. Most of the characters in the film are pretty good, actually. They're done pretty well. There's a lot of really good actors in this film. Uh, the cinematography is good. I like the feel of it. The soundtrack's pretty good. The sound engineering is really good, and it really helps. And the way that they do the music and the sound in the film, it really helps accentuate accent. Oh, my brain doesn't work. It really helps accentuate the parts of the movie that are made to make you feel uncomfortable. And make no mistake, there are parts of this movie that will make you feel uncomfortable, and that's exactly what it's supposed to do. This movie it's a pretty strong look at mental illness, and that's that really is a heavy part of the film. And there are moments when you feel for the character of that Joaquin Phoenix is playing, but then there are also elements that are really disturbing. And the people who are complaining about this, there's a passage in the film. Joaquin Phoenix's character, Arthur Fleck, he keeps a notebook, and there's a passage in that notebook that he writes down that really sums up the idea of this movie and why a lot of those people are upset about this film. And that passage says that the worst thing about having mental illness is people expect you to act like you don't. And that's exactly what these people who are losing their friggin' gourd over this movie are doing. They don't like that this movie is a very stark portrayal of mental illness. And there are genuine moments in this film that are uncomfortable, like really uncomfortable. But that's the whole idea. And ultimately, the thing that a lot of people were concerned about, and myself including, was that they were going to make you feel too sympathetic with this character. It was going to be like, oh, he's not really responsible for any of this. And while he's not responsible for being mentally ill, he's not so mentally ill that he doesn't know that the things that he's doing are wrong. They're morally and socially wrong. And he even says at the end of the film that he never intended to start a movement. Like when all these people start like looking to the Joker, it's almost Antifa-like. The way that this mob culture develops around this person, the Joker. And he even says, he's like, no, I never intended to be, I never intended to be to start a movement or any kind of morality. And at one point he even says, people are horrible. He doesn't care about these people that are worshiping. He loves the adulation. He loves the fact that these people are cheering for him and they love him. And they're like, willing to follow him. But that's more of a power trip. That's more of a power fantasy. He himself, he doesn't care. And just like the Joker in the comics, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about Harley. He doesn't care about the people that work for him. He's an agent of chaos. He just doesn't care. And so at the end of the film, he's not a hero. He's far from it. And even though he is insane, he still knows what he's doing is wrong. He just doesn't care. So he's not a hero in this film, and they're not trying to make him out to be a hero. There were a few moments that they touch on that do have kind of like nods to the comics, especially one at the end that involves Bruce Wayne and the Wayne family. And when I said that they play very loose, very fast and loose with the Batman mythology, the few elements of it that they do put in this, they play pretty fast and loose. For instance, there's a scene where you actually see Alfred. Alfred's kind of a dick in this movie. The way that they depict Alfred, the way that they depict Thomas Wayne, they're not nice people. They're very hoity-toity, uppity. Oh crap, hell? Damn it. Sorry about that. It's the evil rich thing, where all the, rich people look down on everybody else. It's that kind of thing. However, Bruce is, he's a child in this movie. He's not portrayed like that, obviously. He's just a child. But, yeah, it's kind of weird seeing Alfred being kind of a dick. But anyway, like I said, the good things, the cinematography is great. The sound engineering is great. There are some really powerful scenes in this. Joaquin Phoenix's performance is fantastic. The things that I had a problem with, and there's one glaring one, and like I said, this is going back to something I said earlier. This movie borrows very heavily from two films in particular. The King of Comedy and Taxi Driver. I mean, there are elements and scenes that are almost directly referenced from both of those movies. And I could be wrong, but I think the time frame, the setting for for this movie is the same as both of those films. I think it's the late 70s, early 80s is what we're supposed to infer from the setting of this film. I think. I could be wrong about that, but it feels like it's that setting. It feels like it's that time. And for someone who's seen both those movies, who really likes both those movies, like if you watched those two films and you watch this, you could draw direct correlations with it. And for me personally, that was very off-putting. I would rather the director had built their own narrative than borrowing so heavily from those two films. But and that's the major thing. The other thing too, and this is just, and again, this is a personal thing. Me being a comic book guy and me being a huge Batman fan, I don't like that they made Thomas Wayne such an asshole. Some people made comments about how Thomas Wayne is kind of like a Trump stand-in in this film. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't really do politics. There's nothing to be gained from it. But I mean, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I think it's just the idea that the rich, he's just the typical bad guy, rich person. But yeah, the only real glaring thing that really bugs me is them borrowing so heavily from those two, from Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy, and again a little bit being the fact that I'm a comic book fan, that I don't like Alfred being, as Thomas Wayne. It's not that big of a deal with Thomas Wayne, but Alfred shouldn't be that nasty. So ultimately, like I said, it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. It's not a good comic book movie. It doesn't feel like a comic book movie, which it wasn't intended to be. It's not intended to be a comic book movie. It's not intended to be a Joker film. But as a standalone film, it's a good movie, and Joaquin Phoenix's performance it's worth watching this movie just for his performance. So my final grade on this thing, if I had to give it stars, I'd give this a really solid 7.5, 8 stars out of 10. It's a good movie. It's not a perfect movie. It's not the best movie I've ever seen. It's really good though. So yeah, check it out. Give it a shot. I think I'm going to leave it there. I've got a couple other reviews I got to do. I saw a lot of movies this week. I saw Ad Astra. I saw Rambo. I'm going to get into that. and I saw this. So you'll be seeing those. As always, if you like this content, you want to see more of it, hit like, hit subscribe, share the channel out. It helps the channel grow. And leave a comment in the comment section, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you like and you dislike. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, all of that helps the channel grow, helps us get, and helps me get better. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there, guys. You have a good night, and yeah, take care. See you next time.